السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Our topic now will be designing test blueprint. Blueprint is an important item to have a valid exam. البلوبرنت ده الميثاق اللي هو بين الأستاذ والطالب بحيث إن الإكزام يبقى مغطي كل الأماكن الخاصة أو كل الموضوعات المهمة اللي في الكوريكولم. Learning cycle. Number one, we should identify the outcomes of the course and then plan for learning how to conduct these how to teach students these outcomes, how to reach understanding of these outcomes. Is it will be through lectures, traditional lectures, or through problem-based learning or case-based learning, flipped classroom, assignments, and so on. So we should make a good plan for learning, then apply or conduct this plan, then take the feedback and assessment. Okay, assessment, which is the important topic for which we design the blueprint. Assessment cycle. Number one, we should know the purpose of assessment. Number two, revise carefully the intended learning outcomes. By revising the learning outcomes, we should design the test blueprint, which is the contract between the course coordinator and the student. Number four, item development. Develop the questions, either MCQs, extended matching, essay questions, OSPI stations, OSCE, and so on. Then test administration and application of these questions in your exams. After that, after the exam, we should make item analysis for difficulty, for easy questions, for negative point by serial, and so on. We have 6 steps for standardization of assessment. Number one, identify the purpose of the test. 2, identify learning outcomes to be assessed, very important. Number 3, analyze the course content. Number 4, design the test blueprint. Number 5, select and construct the test items and administering the test. Number 6, evaluation of the test items using the item analysis. We should make an overview for the curriculum. Good curriculum should have 15% knowledge and 15% comprehension, 20% application, 25% analysis, 15% synthesis, and 10% evaluation to reach the top of Bloom's taxonomy pyramid for learning. Now we should know what is validity. What is validity? Validity of an assessment means an assessment instrument measure what is intended to measure. That's to say, الاختبار بيقيس المهارات والمعلومات المختلفة المصمم لقياسها. إذا هو نجح في قياس المهارات والمعلومات الاختبار نفسه احنا مصممينه لقياسها. هذه هي validity. Unfortunately, a gold standard against which to measure the validity of an assessment instrument is often unavailable. For assessment instrument, validity concerns itself with a specific measurement in a specific situation with a specific group of individuals. So the validity of any exam is unique. This exam is targeting what? Targeting which group of students, and so on. All these items should be kept in consideration when assessing validity. In other words, it is not the instrument or approach that is valid, but the scores that are valid. Types of validity, we have 5 types of validity. Number 1, content validity. The content of the questions, content of exam questions are valid, covering the majority of important intended learning outcomes. Criteria related validity. If you have criteria for assessing your students, you should know these criteria and apply in the exam to fulfill this type of validity. Number 3, construct validity. Number 4, predictive validity. And number 5, phase validity. Now, we will focus on content validity. Content analysis, designing the best blueprint. We have the two-way chart test blueprint that involve preparing the learning outcomes. Very important. You will make a table, type your learning outcomes, then analyzing the course content. You should know your course content, themes of your course, different type of teaching skills you need. For example, this item, we need it as a knowledge. This item, we need deep understanding. This item, we need it with clinical skill or practical skill. So I can make it as OSPI and OSCE stations and so on. Number 3, deciding the number and type of questions that match each course outcomes and specific content subunit. To know how many questions do you need in each, for example, in each lecture, in each problem-based learning, in order to be included in the mid-course exam, final exam, and maybe reset exam if there are student failures. Why we need content validity of this blueprint? To ensure that the test or assessment measure a representative sample of instructionally relevant task. That's to say, the exam measure what is intended to measure. Measure knowledge, measure understanding, measure psychomotor skills of students, and so on. Importance of blueprint. A proper blueprint is the first crucial step to develop a valid examination and must not overlook. Proper blueprint will ensure fair representation of all important curricular outcomes in the examination. Establishing blueprint make us overcome the major and great problem in the previous years in developing exam questions. Sometimes some exams may have a question with 20 marks, okay, asking about one topic of the curriculum. And for this, you ignore 2 or 3 topics. You don't have marks, okay? But for blueprint, you try to ensure coverage of the exam question for the whole topics of the curriculum. Components of test blueprint. Number 1, course content, either learning outcomes, specific learning outcomes. Number 2, course topics, contact hours for each topic, because this affects the way to develop MCQ and SE questions for each activity. For example, if this lecture will be taken in or conducted in 1 hour and have 2 learning outcomes. So sometimes maybe we need the 2 MCQ questions, for example, but another lecture will be conducted in series, for example, 3 hours. Okay, like for example, beta blockers, for example, beta blocker 1, beta blocker 2, beta blocker 3, and so on. You have, for example, 16 SLOs, so you need to develop around from 10 to 16 questions, for example. So the course content, learning outcomes, and contact hours will impact your development of questions to be included in this blueprint. Then course questions, number and type, important. How to calculate the number of test questions. The time allocated to the exam, all exams of a certain course over the year, for example, of course X, mid-year exam will be 60 minutes. Final exam will be 120 minutes. So total time of exams, 180 minutes. Suggested time for each type of questions. For the MCQ and extended matching question, if it tests the recall, so you give it 1 minute only. We have MCQs that have scenario, okay, clinical scenario, or extended matching question preceded by a scenario. So need time for student to read the scenario. So you should increase the time allocated for this type of questions. You will put 2 minutes for each question that measures the cognitive skills of the student. Then number 3, short essay questions, like list 3 types of so and so, enumerate 4 types of so and so. You should give 3 minutes because the student will write, will express himself in writing. For the 180 minutes exam, it is suggested to contain 90 questions distributed according to the following. For example, 60% MCQs, that's to say 54 questions. Okay, 30% extended matching questions, 27 questions, and 10% short essays, that's to say 9. Total number of questions, 90 questions. You can substitute 2 short essays with 1 long essay. Okay, for example, 1 long essay like give an account on, mention the importance of so and so and so on. But short essay question like list 2 types of so and so, enumerate 2 types of so and so. This is short essay question. Be careful. This is just suggestion. There is no right or wrong in designing your exam. This is suggestions for designing your exam. This is an example of the blueprint. Notice with me, we make a table. In this table, you should write the number of the theme, title of the activity, for example, an overview of management, type of this activity, it is an interactive lecture, then the specific learning outcomes or the intended learning outcomes of this lecture, define management, its function and competences. Number 2, describe management positions and models of organizational design. Number 3, outline healthcare management. You should make 5 columns for knowledge, understanding, application, attitude, and psychomotor. Okay? For knowledge, you should identify you need MCQs or short answer question. For understanding, you should know you need for each SLO, you need MCQ question or short answer. For example, psychomotor and attitude, if this activity have practical intended learning outcomes, how many OSPI, how many OSCE stations will be implemented in this blueprint. So this is a table containing the number of C, the title of the activity, the type of activity. Is it BBL? Is it TBL? Is it a lecture? The intended learning outcomes of this activity, then the type of questions. Okay? After this, after editing questions for the activities successively, you should make at the end a collective table. For example, theme 1 and theme 2. Theme 1, for example, you need 28 questions. And in theme 2, you need, for example, 11 questions total, 39, and percentage 29.5. Most of textbooks regarding medical education recommending knowledge don't exceed 30% in the exam, but understanding and application account for nearly 70% of the exam, because in nowadays era we need to focus on understanding and application, not on to test student recall only. This is another table. For example, theme 1, theme 2, specific learning outcomes 58, specific learning outcomes of theme 2 29. So duration in days for teaching 5 days, in teaching theme 2 2 days. So questions here, types of question: MCQ, short answer, and modified essay questions. Knowledge 14 MCQs, 14 short answer questions. But here 4 MCQs, 7 short answer questions. Understanding, notice 54 MCQs. Okay, no short answer, because the majority of short answers, especially in some courses, with no understanding. Okay, this course, for example, talk about health management. Okay, so we can't bring here short answer, but some courses you may bring short answer question that talk about or testing understanding of the students. Okay, then application, for example, you can put MEQs in application. Okay, then in the blueprint you have this collective final table in the mid-course exam. For example, theme 2, theme 1 and theme 2. In the mid-course, all the mid-course will be regarding theme 1 only. So way of MCQ is 100%. Number of MCQs 25, but in theme 2 way of MCQ 0%. Number of MCQs 0. So total number of MCQs 25. Regarding the weightage of short answer question, 100% in theme 1, 5 questions. That's to say, we recommend it to be 20% of the number of total exam questions. Okay, 20%. So 5 short answer questions. No short answer in theme 2, total short answer in the mid-course exam, 5. Then mid-course total questions, 25 MCQs, and 5 short answer. Then in the final exam, notice weight of MCQ in theme 1, 32%, and you increase the weightage of MCQ regarding theme 2 to be 68%. Number of MCQs here 10, but in theme 2, 20. Weightage of short answer 34, and in theme 2, 66. The same idea, you increase the weight of theme 2 because theme 1 is highly presented in the mid-course exam. Then at the end, regarding reset exam, you should distribute questions regarding number of learning outcomes of theme 1 and theme 2 for the failure students. So it is 64% in theme 1, 36% in theme 2. Please remember this, why we give theme 1 much more weightage in the reset exam. Please remember specific learning outcomes of theme 1, 58. Specific learning outcomes of theme 2, 29. Okay? So number of MCQs here will be 19. Number of MCQs of theme 2 will be 11. Then number of short answer from theme 1 will be 4. Number of short answer questions in theme 2 will be 2. At the end, I hope I can make a general highlighting how to develop blueprint, importance of blueprint. And finally, I would like to thank you all and hope you all the best.